You're listening to Spiritual Warrior Today with your host, that'd be me, Dan Lopez. Join us now on another uncanny journey through our world of infinite uncertainty. Relax, snuggle up to the speakers as we explore new realms of insights, revelations, and cognitive possibilities in the spiritual, metaphysics, and the paranormal. For more information, please visit Spiritual Warrior Today. And now, here's your host, Dan Lopez, and guest. Enjoy the show.
You're listening to my dad, Dan Lopez, on Spiritual Warrior Today Radio.
Alrighty, broadcasting from an undisclosed location conveniently called the Hideout in Lake Ariel, Pennsylvania. This is Spiritual Warrior Today Radio, and tonight I have a special guest all the way from Japan. His name is Ramone Almonte, author of Scratching the Cosmic Consciousness, which is a book where the main character shows or follows an unbeaten path and ends up growing spiritually. This spiritually charged sci-fi novel takes you inside the knowledge of a culture that balances Native Americans' respect for the land combined with advanced technology. The story will take you deep into the character's mind and his higher self. Trevor, a Dominican American who grew up in New York City, is plagued by weird dreams that are pushing him to build an apparatus that will allow him to travel to another planet. He and his best friend, Shinaga, all together build his apparatus, and before they are able to finish, the Trevor's world comes crashing down when the love of his life, Felicia, is killed. He now picks up the pieces and travels to a foreign planet where he meets a highly spiritual 4,000-year-old tree named Sequoyah that is able to walk and talk and teaches him to look at his inner power. Born and raised in New York, now he lives in Japan, as written by Ramone. He says, my earliest memories are at the age of around 2 or 3 years old, where I met or when I had an out-of-body experience. I recall seeing my body and trying to get my bottle, and that my hand kept going through the bottle. At around the age of 11, I had a teacher, Miss Mintz, who taught us meditation. At the age of 16, life gave me a knee to the jaw when I got myself in trouble with the law. I saw two paths. One was dark and the other one was uplifting. Luckily, I was smart enough to make the right choices, and I began reading and meditating. I was always interested in the extraterrestrial life and the UFO phenomenon. Big influences for these interests were my dad and the Strange Universe TV show. At the age of 19, I began to co-host a college radio show with T.O. Sweet called The Candy Store. T.O. Sweet mentored me for many years and taught me how to look at the glass half full and how my thoughts affect my reality. In 1999, I started a public access TV show called Sugar High with my best friend Alex. One day, a co-worker showed me a YouTube video of a UFO over Haiti, and even though this video proved to be fake, it opened me up to looking for more footage, and I discovered radio shows like Coast to Coast AM, As You Wish, and X-Squared Radio, just to name a few. In 2009, I went to James Gilliam's East Ranch, where I saw my first UFO and learned Kunlun. In the summer of 2010, I went again and met Tom. Within a few months, I asked Tom if he knew anything about doing an internet radio show, and Tom said he wanted to do a show as well. So, Conscious TV was born, and with the help of Dr. Brooks Agnews, they landed on BBS Radio, and in 2011 they changed the name of the show to the 100th Monkey Radio, and currently we have listeners in 105 countries. Tonight I want to give a special hello to Ramone. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing really good. It's morning time here for me, so I'm having coffee.
Awesome. What time is it over there?
Right now it's 10:05 a.m.
Dang. That's perfect, actually.
Yeah, it's actually really good. It's not too early.
It's not too early, not too late. It's not scrambling up your day. That's awesome, dude. So what's going on over there? Is this, how is the Japan life? Because I know we started talking about this earlier before the show started, but what's going on over there with all this radiation? Because everybody else wants to know, and not many people are actually getting fed the information direct from the land. So, what's the scoop, Dupe?
Well, as far as the radiation, it's like a Japanese philosophy that I really don't like. And that it's not really a philosophy, but it's kind of something like if you ignore it, it goes away. So people here, like, you wouldn't even know there's any problem. It's business as usual. Go out shopping. Spend your money. That's the important part.
Right.
So, but as far as radiation, I was telling you before we started broadcasting, I've taken the mentality that it's not that I'm ignoring it, but
right.
when you fall into the fear of something, then it affects you heavily. And I remember how old was I? I was, I think, 24 or 23, and I had lost my job, and I had no money or anything, and I remember sitting there at a window, and I'm looking, and this bird lands on the windowsill. This is in Harlem, New York City, and this bird lands there, and I said, I hope you brought me some good news. And when I went down to the mailbox, there was a check there from unemployment, which I was behind on rent and everything, and it caught me all up. The reason why I bring that up is because what I noticed then was when you stress over things, you actually make it worse. And I used to have a roommate that would get so stressed out about things that she would make herself sick.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, she'll get sick, start throwing up, and her skin would start turning kind of greenish because she would just stress out so much. Mm-hmm. And so I remember one time we were interviewing somebody, me and Tom, and Mona Delfina, and she was channeling, and what they were saying was these channels, I think they were like Palladian channels, and what they were saying was when you look at something and you can change it with your mind. So to make a long story short, that's what I'm concentrating on, is changing this radiation with my mind. Is it working? I don't know. But for those of you who might be like, oh, that's BS, just do one experiment. I got one experiment for you to do at home, and anybody can do this. I mean, this is an experiment that should be done by third graders. And you take 3 cups of rice, and you put equal amounts of rice and water. And you write on the first one, I love you. The next one, you write, I hate you. And the second one, you don't do anything to it. You ignore it. And every day you wake up and you say, I love you, I care about you, you're the best thing. The next one, you get all your aggression out on it. You tell it every word you can think of. And the other one, you don't say anything to it. What you'll realize after a couple of months is that if you do it correctly, if you do it every day, that the love you one stays pristine. The hate you one starts turning ugly, but the ignore one, oh man, it gets so rancid and disgusting. Yeah, and that's an experiment by Dr. Masaru Emoto. Here. Right. Yeah, I mean, everybody knows who he is. The guy is just amazing with his work. So just do that experiment. Just do that experiment, and you'll see how strong your conscience is.
It is pretty. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. And you know what's? Somebody had came to me, and while I was listening to some law of attraction stuff and everything, and they were telling me, or I was hearing them say things like, what you can do is you can visualize, breathing in. You can breathe, because I was having a problem with money, so I was looking for this information. So they say, so breathe
me and
in,
you both.
breathe in, right? Breathe in the money, right? Say the money is just breathing in as you're breathing in, and as you exhale whatever you have to exhale. Exhale the negatives or exhale. So I was exhaling hearts, right? That was my visualization. Bills were going into my nostrils, and then on my exhale, hearts were going out, And I started doing it about 3 days ago, or 4 days ago, let's say. And after I did it, I would not think about it at all. Like, no expectations. It was just something I was going to do. Yesterday, I come out of the store, and my daughter's with me. And as soon as I come out of the store, I look down, and I'm like, Abby, pick that up really quick. And she goes and she picks it up. She's like, it's a $10 bill. I'm like, yeah, come on, let's go. So I'm like, is that part of it? Did that happen to it? I was like, I didn't put any expectations on it, didn't expect anything from it, But it's like, this is what happens. She gets to the car, I think she picked up 2 pennies herself, and it's just like, it just happens, I know one of the things that I was paying attention to, one of the videos that you were doing, and you were talking about when you were at the Isetti Ranch, and you were talking with James that your batteries had gone out. Now I'm totally into like phenomenon, because and experience, because I don't think you could be a better witness unless you experience something. You can be a skeptic all your life or a cynic all your life. But when you actually experience something, it'll blow your mind, and if you can't accept it, you won't accept it. But if you're questioning, then it's like there's nothing like it. So because I'm an electrician, so when I heard heard the stuff that you were saying when your batteries went out, and James was like, yeah, just give them to me, and he charged them up just by holding them in his hands, and then you did the same thing, I was like, that is insane.
That one still blows my mind.
That is insane.
I'll tell you a story. I ever since then. And I remember I went and mentioned it to this other guy who's living there, son, a really good friend of mine and teacher. I told him about it, and I was like, shocked. And he was like, yeah, that's no big deal. It's like the way they both look at it is like, yeah, it's, it's like making eggs. It's easy. So, yeah, and what I've been doing is, like, I have the AAA battery for my shaver, and it lasted me a whole year before I had to change it. It lasted because I would go and charge it. Now, what I would like to prove, and a friend of mine who's an electrical engineer said something about it because I did it in front of him. And he was saying, well, I know the heat of your body can do that and, can give it an extra boost. And I was like, okay, I would like to drain the battery out. He said, like, heat it up in hot water, which, be careful, and then try it. So that's what I want to do. I haven't had a chance to go around doing that. But even so, let's say it's just your body heat. How come no one told us this? How come they just say, go buy a new battery? But it's amazing.
I know the answer to that, but I mean, really, that's really. I mean, think about it. It's like, that when the shampoo companies, they wanted to make some more money, but they didn't know how to increase the sales. Somebody, a smart copywriter, turned around and said, well, just have them rinse and repeat. And boom, their sales went up because people started washing their hair twice as much and using twice as much shampoo. So, I mean, it's just that simple. I mean, yeah, so why don't they tell you that you can charge these things up because they need to make the sales? So, it's kind of cool. You hear things like that. Because the other thing was, I had an experience when I was like a teenager, and then I used to be into the comic books, and I used to like the Mighty Thor and stuff like that. And one time I went upstairs to the top floor of my building, and it was beautiful, beautiful sunset out and everything. And I don't think I was in a very great mood, but I had just read some incantation that Thor had actually performed, and to make it rain. And so I was like, all right, well, I'll do the same thing. And it wasn't like, I'll do the same thing, I don't believe it'll happen. It was like, I'll do the same thing and see what happens, you know. And so I did the same thing and hung out for a couple of minutes, and then I went downstairs. By the time I got downstairs to my third floor apartment, and this was a 6-story building, I looked out the window and it was frickin' raining. Mind you, there was no clouds in the sky when I was up on the roof. And then, and here, yep, exactly. And now to prove, and one more time, got my daughter out the other, I think it was last year, right, Abby? Yeah. Had her out last year, and we went into the backyard, and I told her, "You want to see the sun come out? Let's make the sun come out," because it was raining out. And so we both looked at the skies. We gave our blessings to the northeast and south and west, and then we said we wanted the sun to come out. And then we went inside. No more than between 15, 20 minutes later, the sun came out.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show you, and even after you do those things, you still don't believe it yourself. Cause
I know.
I've had several experiences like that, and I'll tell you really quick a few of the experience. One of the experience was actually at ECETI, and it was really cloudy that day, and we wanted to clear up the sky so we can see the stars, watch the UFOs flying over. Sure. And so we got a circle together. This was 2010. Yeah, it was the first time when I met Tom. And you know, right where we were standing there we made a big hole in the clouds. It took us like maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and it just cleared up. But around there were clouds, and just in that middle area. So it was like a group of us, maybe like 50 people, and cleared it right up. And you know, I've had so many guests on the show that also said that, you know, they've done this. And I had another experience. Before I moved to Japan, I was working in the catering business. And I was wearing the penguin suit, you know, the monkey suit, and walking. And I get off on 23rd Street from the N train. At that time, I was living in Queens. And I'm walking west towards 6th Avenue. And it starts downpouring, and I'm thinking, oh, man, I don't want to get this monkey suit wet because then I have to sit in it. So I start breathing in through my nose and breathing out from the top of my head. And all I kept repeating is, slow down, slow down. And then I just breathed right to the top of my head up and just kept doing that and didn't pay it much mind. In about a few minutes, the rain started slowing down. It didn't stop. It was still drizzling, but it wasn't pouring. And that was the important part. I didn't want it to stop raining. I just wanted to slow down enough so the suit doesn't get soaked. And I was just in shock by that. And of course, you know, when I get to the place where we were meeting, because we were taking a bus into Jersey, I didn't even bother telling anybody because I was like, I don't even believe this myself. But there's two things that, you know, there's two very important things that once you do something with expectations, it goes right out the window. And every time me or you have done something, the number key thing was no expectation. You're not even thinking about it afterwards. Right. And these amazing things happen. Right.
That's been a huge thing. Trying not to have expectations. I know I've gone through, and I've told a lot of my listeners recently. We went through some really hard times over here, and between expectations, between limitations and excuses, was like really huge, you know. And so I had set up a whole bunch of them on myself, and really like cornered me into a very bad situation, And so a couple of weeks ago, I wound up going, you know, with the boys and the rollers and ankle bracelets and handcuffs and stuff like that, and for money that I owed and whatnot. And so it just gave me a whole new perspective on stuff, you know, on just trying to have some having gratitude during that whole experience. because I was away for like 4 days or whatever, and sitting there and trying to be at peace, trying to just think on my breathing and stuff like that, trying to say, you know, okay, I'm grateful, my little one's taken care of and everything, you know, and everything was cool, you know, for the moment. You know, I had no way of like getting information out or anything like that, so I didn't know. It wasn't worth it for me to be all upset, you know, so I tried not to be. And I truly believe it. Had I been like insane, I'd probably still be in there. I would have done something dumb or whatever, and I probably would have stayed in there. But I didn't, you know. I had those 4 days. I was in lockdown because of some medical thing, because they give you a TB shot or whatever. So you're not allowed out of your cell. It gives you a lot of time to freaking contemplate. And that was the other thing. I always thought if I ever went in there, I'm just going to chill out, just do a lot of freaking meditating, talking to God and stuff like that, have my meals and blah, 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 go to sleep and do it all over again, you know. And I tried to do that to the best of my abilities, you know. They gave me a book to read, a bunch of short stories, so I had a little bit of that to do. And then all of a sudden, next thing I know it, the fourth day came around, and they were releasing me. And I was like, all right, well, here's the deal. I'm going to listen to whatever's going to be said, because I know a lot of people got a lot of questions and stuff like that, but I also have things to do, and let's get to it. Because now I don't have any excuses and I don't have any limitations. And within 3 days, I got a freaking job. It's insane. I'm working at it in a deli counter, but I got a job. I had the interview within 3 days, within 2 days, and the job the following day. And then I had a week off to like chill. You know what I mean? Everything was going to get taken care of. The money was going to be coming in and stuff like that. And it was only, I swear to goodness, it's only because I kept my cool. I kept my head. You know, I listened to what was going on. And I just paid attention to myself, really. I paid attention to myself and being very diligent about taking care of my own mental and emotional state. And you know, being grateful and all that good stuff too, and here I am today, and I'm very grateful.
Yeah, it's really important. Like I was telling you that story with the bird. It's really important to keep calm and just, you know, try. And it's hard at times. I mean, and you had what me and my partner Tom likes to call the proverbial 2x4. You know, and every once in a while, once you start following this path, once you start straying, it's like you get slapped. Pow! It's like, oh, okay, this way. You know.
Yep.
And if you don't listen, the next time it'll hurt a little more, and the next time it'll hurt a little more. I mean, I was listening to that interview, and there was something you mentioned that really stuck with me, was that, you know, why is it that going to jail is such a common thing? It's like, you know, it's such a, like, oh, I was in jail this weekend. Oh, okay, what happened? Oh, yeah. You know, and it's like, that's one thing about living here, is like, you don't hear that. Yeah. There's nobody I know here, Japanese, not foreigners, because, you know, foreigners are different. But there's no Japanese person that I know personally that's been in jail or been in prison or anything like that. But back home, we've all been there at least once.
Yeah, it was weird, and I didn't figure that to be something that would be of a norm in Pennsylvania, no less, because that's where I am right now. And but that's what it seemed to be. Anyone I talked to was like, "Oh yeah, no problem." And people are like, they're in there all the time. I'm like, "Why? Are you kidding me?" And they're like, "It's just the way things are nowadays. It's just people just going and doing some time, and that's it. And then they come out, and then it's no big deal." And I was worried about my record and this and that, and you know, and how the hell am I going to get a job if I got processed and blah 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 blah. And so, and the other part of me is just like, yeah, but it's civil. It's not criminal. So
yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? You know, it's like, well, that's just it, you know. And I know from a fact, you know, here's something funny, to get off on a slight tangent, but I know so many people who are extremely successful. I mean, extremely successful, and most of them have done like some time. I mean, not like exceedingly great amounts of time, but they've all done some time. You know, they've spent a couple of nights or a couple of months or a couple of years. You know, but now they've turned their life around and they're out there doing their thing. You know, and they're and don't let anything like that stop you. Don't let anything like that stop you, because every moment is a new moment. You know, and that's my philosophy. Every moment is a new moment. You know.
That's very true. I mean, when you know, the other thing that bothers me, and I shouldn't let it bother me, but it's like growing up, who are our heroes? Like, especially in the neighborhood I grew up, is like, who are our heroes? And there was guys who like were really heavy into the drug business and got killed around my neighborhood. And they're the ones that were like, even to this day, they've been dead for 20 years and people still talk about them. And then I turn around and say, like, really, what did they do? I mean, why is it that it's like, why is it that everybody's, you know, instead of saying like, oh, you know, I'm going to this college, it's like, oh yeah, you know, so-and-so just came out of jail, he just did 3 years. It's like, oh, you know, and people are cheering him on, like, that's our rite of passage, is, you know, doing time. But, I mean, for me, you know, once I started reading and turning my life around, I noticed who the real heroes are. And the real heroes is, you know, somebody like Mahatma Gandhi. Now, there goes a real hero, because here goes a man with broken glasses, wearing a sheet around him, with either, I think he was barefoot or sandals most of the time, and he pushed the English out. You know, he didn't do it by himself, but he was that catalyst. Yeah. And he did it through nonviolent. Now, that's a hero. That's somebody that we should be talking about on the corners and stuff like that, because we all complain, oh, there's nothing we can do. That's not true. They tell you that, so because they know your power. They know the power you have, but you just don't know the power you have. And that's the important thing, you know, like my book is based on, is realizing your own power. And I'll be the first one to admit, sometimes I forget that myself, and fall right back into the old ways. Exactly. And and then you get a slap to the face. Pow! Oh, yeah, this way.
Exactly. Listen, and speaking of the book, Scratching the Cosmic Consciousness, how long has that been out now?
It came out in March, and it took me 6 years to write it. It was a lot of, six long years. Wow. And there was a lot of self-doubt there. And again, you know, what I'm saying, the realizing your own power. I had a dream, and this is like in the beginning chapters, when I was writing the beginning chapters, and a friend of mine's from my dream said to me, oh, your book is terrible. He said another word, but I'm not going to use it. And he said, your book is terrible in the dream. So when I woke up, I was like, okay, I'm not going to write. And then I think for 6 months I didn't write. And then later I had a dream with Dr. Brooks Agnews. And he said to me, he said, you can't call yourself a writer. A writer writes. You can't be no writer if you don't write. What kind of writer are you that doesn't write? And that was very true. And that just, you know, snapped me back into it, because I was letting my own self-doubts get the best of me. And I put a lot of that into the book.
So let's break this down chapter by chapter. We won't give away the whole thing, but finding my bliss. Can you summarize, like, finding your bliss? Because I'm reading these chapter titles and I'm like, damn, I could see this stuff. Like Finding My Bliss is chapter 1, then you have chapter 2 is Prepping, and chapter 3 is Jumping Off the Emotional Bridge. Chapter 4 is Downloading the Soul, which I definitely want to ask you about. And chapter 5 is Not That Different. And I just created a, a template for a T-shirt recently called We're the New Normal, which is really cool. Right? So check it out. So chapter 6, it's not the place, but the journey. 7, The Man in the Mirror, Friend or Foe. God, can I identify with that. Chapter 8 is Contradiction. And chapter 9 is If You Want Something, Give It Away. And oh my God, are you kidding me? That's all of what Spiritual Warrior is all about.
You know, each one of those chapters is a personal lesson. Let's start off with Finding My Bliss. Finding your bliss is another way of saying finding what makes your heart sing, finding what brings you real joy. And too many of us get caught up in the, I just need to make money, and so we do, crappy jobs that we hate, despise, and just do it, for the money. And that's what the old people would tell us. It's like, just keep, repeating to yourself, money, money, money. And I can't do that. I can't do that anymore. Just do something for the money. So it's finding what is it that makes your heart sing? What is it that makes you happy? What is it that makes you proud? At first it might not make you money. It might take years, but that's okay. It makes you happy. After a while, things will come. But if you start focusing on the money when you're doing those things, it's not going to happen. And it's like you were talking earlier about
excuses and limitations.
Exactly. Yeah. So, finding what is it that makes you happy. The next one, hold on, let me open it up here.
I got it. Prepping.
Well, once you find your bliss, prepare yourself. What is it you want to do? Okay, so I want to write book.
Okay.
Oh, I prepare myself. I'm not the... I laugh at myself. I'm the worst at grammar. And mind you, I'm an English teacher and a published author. I have atrocious grammar. But I'm getting better and I'm working on it, and it takes time, and my close friends still make fun of me, for it. And I made a lot of mistakes in the book. I'll be the first.
We're from New York. What can you say?
Right?
We're from New York. We have no grammar.
You're right. I'm on 30.
It's so cool.
But, yeah, so, preparing yourself for what you want to do, do the research, find out. So, okay, prime example. Me and you are doing these kind of radio shows. So what do? We do research and find out about people and learn more things. Why are we doing these shows? Because we want to grow. So we find out. So that's what prepping, is all about. Jumping off the emotional bridge. Now this is talk about
just your fear goodbye, really.
Yeah, I mean, the proverbial 2x4 again. With the character, when this is the chapter where the love of his life passes away, and I won't give it away what happens, but it's basically coming to terms with things that you can't change. Unfortunately, that's something that we can't change. Right. And in my own personal life, I didn't have someone pass away that way, but I had a really severe breakup where it tore me a new home. It was like I couldn't even look at another woman. Yeah. And I was just like, for 6 months, I couldn't look at. I was depressed. I was, So that's what the whole, jumping off the emotional bridge is like. Okay, you're going through this, and it's for a reason. Why?
Right.
Why? And when you have a bad relationship, what the most important thing of that relationship is now you know what you don't want.
Yeah,
because
no, that's
too many
what
times
screams out loudest.
Yeah, too many times we'll say, "Oh, I want this kind of person," but really, you might not even really know what you want. But when you have a terrible relationship, you realize what you don't want. And there was I can't remember her name. There was a guest we had, right? And she was going through a very bad relationship. And the first relationship she went through, the person was like a little judgmental, so she kind of didn't like that, and didn't say anything to him, just broke up with him. The second one was like, oh, I don't want you buying white bread. I want you to buy this kind of bread, and you shouldn't eat that, and telling her what to do, and she didn't say anything. The third one, like, pushed her and spit in her face. And then finally she stood up, for herself. Now, what am I trying to relay in this story is we have little lessons. When you don't listen, again, I'm going to keep repeating this proverbial too much. You don't listen, you're going to get hit harder. At first it's going to be a tap, then a smack, then, a soplamoco, as we say in Spanish, just a knock you out kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it'll get worse and worse until you say, oh, man, I need to listen.
Yeah.
So, going back to the chapters, downloading
the soul. Yeah.
That one, I named that one because of the apparatus. But once you start getting into this and you really start following your own purpose and finding out who are you? You're more than a human being. You're a spiritual person.
Right.
Then you start getting these downloads. You start receiving information from your dreams, from, all of a sudden things, synchronicity just starts kicking in. So, that's where the name comes from. Is things that should happen. You look at your dreams in a deeper way. It's not just, your mind just releasing itself, as some people say. It's deeper. For me, dreams are a different part of reality. It's reality to me, but a different part of it. The next one, we're not that different. In that one, at this part, he meets the alien and then finds out that they're not that different. Just like me and you are not that different, or even, take a little more extreme, me and that tree outside is not that different.
Right. You wanna hear something before you continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
And listen to this. The last relationship I was in just completely mirrored exactly what you were talking about. I know what I don't want, and it was a complete abandonment and she was not there at all, at all. And she was also Native American, and she was also the granddaughter of Sequoyah, not the granddaughter, the great granddaughter of Sequoyah.
Wow.
That's why when I saw this and I read the thing, I was like, oh my God, wait till he hears this stuff. I'm like, how did he find me? I'm like, holy cow. If there was any more parallels, I'd be like freaking out over here. It's like, holy crap. It's like we're vibing on the same thing, man. It's like unbelievable. So, but go ahead, tell me about it.
Well, that just reminded me of something I heard once. Sometimes you meet people for a day, for a season, or a lifetime.
Yeah.
And the reason why I mention that is because I'm a big believer that the right person or the right thing or the right situation will come when you need it.
Right.
So, maybe I got something to tell you, or maybe I don't,
Maybe. Who knows?
But not that different. Oh, I went over that one. It's not the place, but the journey. Too many of us are focused on where we're at or where we want to go.
Right.
But you don't realize the now. And, and you know, it's all about the now. What's important is not what was said before, but what's happening right now, this interaction we're having. That's the most important thing right now, because worrying about, you know, this bill or that is not going to pay it. If fear and worry paid bills, man, we all be billionaires.
That's the truth.
But yeah, so when you know, life is a journey. And what's that journey about? What are you experiencing? What are you learning? That's the important part. And that's why I say it's not the place, but the journey. Moving on to Man in the Mirror, Friend or Foe.
Dude, I read that and I'm like, you know, you have no idea how many times I looked in the mirror and I'm just like saying, who the heck, number one, who the heck are you? And number two, everybody keeps telling me that I'm supposed to love you. And while I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, I love you, but I don't know how to love you, which is really the crux of the situation. I don't know how to love that person in the mirror, you know, and for some reason it's been more like I can express my love, I can express my caring and all of that stuff for others really well. I just try to do the next right thing, you know, today. I try to, you know, surrender my will and stuff and turn it over and give it to God and just like let Him take the reins of what's going on. And as far as like dealing with myself, it takes a lot of work. You know, I mean, sometimes I look in there and be like, you know, yeah, you're a damn good looking guy, you know, and sometimes I'm just like, bleh.
Yeah, I mean, that's you hit the what did I say? You hit the hammer and the nail. I forgot how to say it, but you hit it right on the head. Yeah, that's the hardest person to love. That person. I went to a silent retreat, and I spent 2 weeks. This whole chapter is about that. I spent 2 weeks in silence, and let me tell you, I was, which I'm sure, you know, being in lockdown, you can understand. So I was laughing hard when I heard you talking about that in the interview. You go completely nuts because you realize you really don't like being with yourself. You know, a couple hours by yourself, that's cool. But when a couple days, I mean, you start turning in your head. We were in a group meditation kind of thing. It's this place called Vipassana, and they have them like all over the United States. And if you're ready, I suggest people go for that silent retreat at least once. So we're all sitting down. We're not allowed to look at nobody in the eyes, no eye contact, no touching of whatsoever, no talking, no gestures, nothing. I mean, you're there by yourself to work on you. And I was getting so annoyed with everything. The guy's toes in front of me were annoying me so much. And I don't know why. I couldn't tell you to this day why, but his toes just bothered me. Because that's all I had to look, you know, day after day. I'm looking at his toes, and they were getting on my nerves. And you really start going nuts. I mean, by the day 6, I was completely out of my mind. Completely out of my mind. To the point there was this bumblebee, and they were doing some work up there at that temple. And there was some plastic sheeting, and the bumblebee kept bumping into this plastic. And I was getting annoyed with the bumblebee. I was like, listen, if you just open up your vision and turn a little bit to the left, you're right there. You know, and that reminded me of Einstein. It's like insanity is when you keep doing the same thing expecting different results. Exactly. And, you know, what the bumblebee taught me there was that we do the exact same thing. We just keep running into the wall. Oh, wait, if I go a little faster, I'll go through it. And then run into the wall a little harder. and then, fall on your butt, get back up, and run right into the wall again. Instead of, there's a door, right, about 5 feet over. So that's what the, the whole thing is, learning how to love that person and who you really are. Finding out who you are. I can't tell you who you are,
Right.
What I would say is, you're not a human having a spiritual experience. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. And you can look that any way you want. But the most important thing is find out for yourself. Don't let no master or no guru tell you who you are. You need to find out for yourself. Contradiction. Boy, this is a big one. This is a big one because as human beings, we're consistently contradicting ourselves. I mean, for example, I'm really against fluoride and GMO, but don't take my cigarettes away.
Oh no, not you too.
Yeah, so that's and I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of admitting it. I have my contradictions, and we're all working on them. And this chapter is all about the aliens, the Venezuelans is what I call them. Their contradictions, and we all have them. And that's when someone admits their contradictions, I'm very proud of them. But when someone like I have a family member of mine who's very big into religion. I mean, really, really big. And there's nothing wrong with if that's your path, that's your path.
Yeah.
But they act all high and mighty on how they're following the right path, and everyone else is a heathen. Right. Right. And then it's like, wait, what are you talking about? You got children from different women. You've cheated on several of your wives. Mm-hmm. So mm-hmm. How can you, try to act like you're saved by God and everyone else is a heathen when you're full of contradictions? Mm-hmm. And it's not that we don't have them. We all have our contradictions. Every single one of us have our contradictions. It's when you try to act like you don't have them.
Right.
So, and the last one, last but not least, if you want something, give it away. I think that's one of the hardest things. It's,
It can be.
Yeah, it's very hard.
I mean, if you listen to my last interview, that's towards the end. That's really where I come from, because there's a lot of people out there. They're looking for the answers. They're trying to experience stuff, and their connections are wherever they are, and so setting up our foundations and having some kind of structure in our lives and having the experiential experience is all great and everything like that. But while I wanted to go and listen to the radio, like I was listening to AM, Coast to Coast AM. After a while, I really had to stop because, like in the beginning, it would be a lot of like what we were saying, like a lot of the fear-based stuff, and so I couldn't take the negativity so much, especially after the lockdown and trying to get back into the radio thing to get back on the horse again. So what I thought I wanted was having a place where my experiences could help somebody else, because that's what I would want. I would want to be able to get somebody else's experiences, at least, knowledge-wise, and see, not only am I not crazy, but that things do get better, and that by sharing the information that we have, and that the experiences that we had, the trials and the tribulations and the ups and the downs, and that things do get better as we continue to work on ourselves getting better. And so pretty much that's, I got since in 1986 is when I started, getting clean and sober and all of that stuff. So all of that psychotherapy and going to meetings and everything like that, and hearing all of these nightmare stories, man, stories from hell, you know, and we're dealing with all of these emotions and everything like that, you know, it's all together. It's all together. It's all energy, and it's all a matter of how we process them and how we can actually find our way to navigate through this journey. You know, and I figured, you know, I'm doing it, and I'm expressing it, and I'm sharing it with you. And if I hadn't gone through what I had gone through, I would wish somebody had something like this so I could listen to what this person was going through. You know, for some gratitude that I am not in his shoes, for some, you know, gratitude that, you know, he knows where I'm coming from, because he's telling it like it is. You know, he's not pulling no punches, because I don't pull no punches. You know, I got nothing to hide or nothing. You know, I'm not running for president or anything like that. So what the hell? You know, that's how I figure it. And number 3, why not? Why not? What do I have to fear? It's not like somebody's going to come through the radio and choke me by the throat and tell me whatever, you know. It's so, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, here it is. You know, and it's just all about coming from the heart. That's what I really think it is, you know. And mastering ourselves is about getting in touch with my heart, for myself, right now. And it's been a hellified experience where I'm at that point now where the place I'm even working at, here you go. The place where I'm working at is loaded with a bunch of lunatics and run by neurotics. And so it's one of the best things that I've ever gone through, because I don't let any of that stuff affect me. I'm there to learn. You know, I'm there to find everybody's rhythm, because everybody does the same processes, but they all do it all differently. And I'm working in different shifts. It's not like I have the same shift all the time. So it's like, you know, I'm dealing with different people, different times, and different crazies. So, and not only that, I'm dealing with the general public as customers, you know, because we're working a deli, you know, and so they're all crazy, because they're, you know, they want all their stuff at the same time, and they want their stuff, you know, as quick as possible. And mind you, we're in Pennsylvania. This is not a New York City Minute kind of place, you know. This is like, you know, shut up and wait is like, you know, is a New York City Minute to them, you know. And so it's like, I can deal with this, and I have my 15-minute breaks in the morning. I have my 15-minute break at the first 2.5 hours. I have another 15-minute break afterwards. No lunch, and you know what? I get out of there, and I'm freaking happy. And there are people in there who do nothing but complain about each other, and I'm just like, you just gotta let them be. You know, you just gotta let them do what they're doing, and because all I care about is just make the time go fast. You know what I mean? Just make the time go fast. I'm not here to argue with anybody. You're going to be and do whatever you got to do. I'm just here to just, like, chill, get into the groove, and just, like, be there. Be there, which is a lot better than looking at the clock and wishing it was done already. You know what I mean? And so that amount of peace to someone who's just getting back into the work scene or whatever like that, it's better to be in the now. For me, and having the humility to just say, you know, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for what this is. I'm grateful for what it does for me. You know, I don't have to be here all the time. I don't have to think that I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. You know, this is where I am right now, and I'm happy.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at it as a springboard, it is very important, too. Yeah. Because that, you know, you never know where that can lead you. Or, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. You don't know. Who knows? And, I mean, you know, the world can end tomorrow. Who knows? You know, as they say, you know, well, tomorrow's not promised to anyone, so, you know, might as well enjoy it, you know.
I mean, the most, and I'm going to keep repeating this, the most important thing anybody can do is do your own research and learn who you are. And, you know, keep studying. You know, I got a funny story when you were talking about crazy. I started laughing because a friend of mine's, a really good friend of mine's from New York City, sends me a Facebook, and she goes, "Oh, I want to apologize, you know, to you for thinking you were crazy. You know, you're not crazy anymore." And it's because I always was talking about these things and talking about UFOs and aliens and life out there and stuff like that. And she's been going down the rabbit hole. And she's like, "You're not crazy anymore." I said, No, wait. We're both crazy now.
Right.
But yeah, it's we have a lot to learn, and there's a lot of things that we need to look at, and looking at ourselves. And you're gonna make that mistake, but if you learn from it, then you're going through the process. It's when you ignore it that really, and sometimes it takes an outside view, to tell you something don't smell right. Sometimes you just can't see it.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true, because you're more objective from the outside. You don't have a lot of things that are holding you back to help you. To hinder you from seeing what the person who is in it, the forest for the trees syndrome. And,
yeah.
So that it really helps you be able to share with somebody what the heck is going on with you, and for you to be able to do that. And that's what I do with the counseling sessions too, and then with the tarot card readings, because the synchronicities just wind up coming up, and so I'm able to let you see exactly what's going on, and so your reality may be what you're attached all your emotions to these events that are going on in your life, but meanwhile, what's going on in your life has nothing to do with the emotions that you've attached to events that have happened before. This is like a whole new set of circumstances, but you're seeing it with eyes with cataracts. You know what I mean? With old eyes.
Yeah.
So if we just allow it to be. If we just allow it to be that new experience, even though it's like the same place, the same people, the same thing, it's a different day. It's another you, because every day we get a chance to change ourselves, So I don't feel anything like I used to. Which is so awesome, man.
That's a big one for me personally. Seeing things from a different experience, there's certain things that happen, and I'll tell you a story where a friend of mine, she was dating this guy, and he got really, really drunk, and I was like we were in a friend's house, and I was laying on her rug, and he was like so drunk, he comes over and just pours like some liquor on my head, and my first reaction was to hit him, but then I just reacted, was like, "You don't know me to be acting like that, blah blah blah," and he just like went off away. And then my friend was apologizing, for her boyfriend, and she was making excuses for him, and right away my own past experience of friends who drink too much. And I was like, no, don't make excuses for him. And we got into a huge argument, and we like stopped talking like for a couple weeks. Now we're really, really good. And but the point of the story is that I got really angry, not so much because of him, but because of the reminder of my own personal friends who, drank too much, and then
exactly.
Exactly.
So you found all those. You found all of those attachments that you had to past events, and that's where you got to see it from. And it's just like where I'm at now. It's like I'm sitting there, and everyone. It's so easy to take offense, and I think this is one of like the worst things that I've noticed for myself, and I can see it very, very clearly in everybody that I'm working with, and it's like so easy to take offense from the way people express themselves. They don't mean anything by it. It's just the way that they are. But if you are not in your right frame of mind, snap. Just like that, it's you take it wrong. And we're in it's a high volume situation. Things are turning over a lot and really fast. There's a lot of things happening, and there's a lot to consume. So when emotions are high and everybody wants to do the right thing, people are going to say things the way they need to say them right at the time that they're going to say them. And it's up to us whether we're going to take it right or take it normal, which is, I won't even say normal, but take it with a higher vibration. So everybody's getting all bent out of shape there, and I'm watching this, and it's like a comedy of errors. And it's really cool. I'm so used to getting all up into the dynamics of the relationships of everybody that's dealing with it. And I think of not to go off on too much of a tangent, but relationships, I think, are like the number one thing that people deal with on a day-to-day. And if you can't relate to relationships, then you need to get out more. Because you need to get out more, because it's one thing if we're working on ourselves and getting to deal with ourselves. It's another thing when we get to work on ourselves while we're in the dynamic of the relationship, because it allows us to not only deal with ourselves, but deal with ourselves while we're dealing with others. And so while we're doing that, it's like, we have no control over people, places, and things, right? So if we're coming from that situation, then people are just going to be who they are and what they are, and we can very much be amused at what they're doing rather than being offended by what they're doing or how they're doing it or who they are, and so I just think I'm happier by just observing what's going on rather than getting all up into the problem with authority that I may have had in the past, or I still have, and coming from that, point of view, or coming from that attitude, or coming from that mindset, and just doing what needs to be done, and it's really cool. I mean, one of the things I wanted to ask you though was, how long ago did you start the 100th Monkey?
The 100th.
No, you started it in 2000.
Yeah, 2010. It started. At that time, we called it Conscious TV, and then we switched the name in 2011. My partner Tom went up to ECETI, and I forgot who the guy's name, but the guy they were talking about the 100th Monkey. He was like, "That should be the name of your show."
That's awesome.
And awesome. I mean, if anybody's familiar with the 100th Monkey theory, wait! Before you do it,
listen to this. So, because I don't think you read my About page. The mission of my About page is to promote and advance the art and science and enjoyment of spiritual connectedness, our oneness with our higher selves, with each other, with our higher collective or Christ consciousness, with our universal or creative source, first cause, or God consciousness. The 100th Monkey effect is a supposed phenomenon in which learned behavior spreads instantaneously from one group of species to all related species once a critical number is reached. By generalization, it means the instantaneous paranormal spreading of an idea or ability to the remainder of the population once a certain portion of that population has heard of the new idea or the new ability. Every one of us can make a greater contribution, even while there may seem little promise of a single individual making a true contribution to change the world. Yet, the arithmetic of this possibility is straightforward. If just one person alters their lives and shares their experience with 10 others, who in turn have a profound effect, and they in turn share their experience with 10 others, and those 10 affect the lives of 100, it's akin to the parable, a little leaven leavens the whole lump.
Yeah. I mean, you said it right there. I don't even have to explain it. Yeah,
and that's what I think. And so for me, as far as our radio station was concerned, it's like just as one individual and affecting 10 other people or one other person. It means a lot. And I do get a lot of people who do turn around and they're just like, holy crap, I can't believe, you put that out, and it means a lot. You're really helping a lot of people. And it's just, it's not a lot, but it's enough to keep me, juiced up and say, yeah, this has wings, man. This has wings.
I mean, just think about that for a second. You have your show, I have my show, and how many other shows are there? You know, I can't even count. You know how many shows there are. I was shocked. I was going through all the different shows, and there's so many shows, and everybody has their own style and their own way and their own belief systems.
Yeah.
But the point is that there's just think about 10 years ago. How many shows were there? There's only one show I could think about 10 years ago.
10 years ago, Coast to Coast.
That's it. And then now there's so many good shows. It's like if you just want to listen to shows, you can do that 24 hours.
I know. It's
straight.
Insane. It's insane. I can't.
But
I tried.
The point is we're waking up. It's happening at a slow pace. But I mean, for me, like I was telling you about my friend when she was like, "You're not crazy anymore." That. Yeah. She really, that's one experience that was like, oh, wow, things are really happening. Something is really happening. And when she was saying...
Oh, absolutely.
When she was saying, oh, people are waking up, and I was like, oh, my God. She's saying these things. So it's happening. I know sometimes, I hear people get frustrated, and it's like, when they're going to get it? And it's like, don't worry about when they're going to get it. Worry about when you're going to get it. Because even though... I say we're in a process of waking up. I still got my issues, and I'm still not there yet. So.
But you know what the thing is too? I've heard that. I think this is the second time I heard you say something like that. Now, the thing is that I've come to understand that, and just as you said, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Our learning never ends, dude. We're part of the infinity. We're part of the infinitum. So it's like, don't even think that, just because we get to a certain level, and this goes for myself, this goes for anybody else, I mean, it doesn't ever end, just when you think you've reached one level, you've gotten to where you wanted to be, there's so much more. There's just it's like that old saying, the more I know, the less I know.
Exactly. And that's why it bothers me with scientists, because I live close I live close to Columbia University, and I mean, some of these scientists, I was like, wow, I thought you guys are supposed to be a little more open-minded. I'm not saying believe everything you come across, because don't believe a word I'm saying. Do your own research.
Do your own research, have your own experiences.
Yeah, that right there. It's like there's a saying my partner Tom always says, which is condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance, Albert Einstein. Yeah. And that's it right there. It's like, if you're a scientist, why aren't you doing research in this, Why are you just saying, that's... I'm not going to mention the scientist's name, but there was one scientist, a very well-known scientist, and someone asked him, what do you think about aliens? You know what he said? He said that the only people who see that are hillbillies with pickup trucks and a keg in the back. That is the most ignorant thing I ever heard, especially it's come out of a scientist's mouth.
Sure. Sure. You know what I think? Though?
I guess I'm a hillbilly with a truck.
Yeah, sure. I was 9 years old in Puerto Rico when I saw my first UFO. So, and I didn't have a pickup truck back then, and I still had all my teeth. So, but the thing with scientists though is, when you come to them with that question, you got to catch the ones that are willing or do have that question in their head already. Because if not, they're already obsessed in what they're obsessed in, and that's what flips their switch. But if you run into a scientist who has, because there are some who are talking about this, but you won't find them because of the ridicule that's being out there against the information. And so even though even though some of them even know that it's true, that this is going on and everything like that. So, but they won't go out of ridicule because they have to have their papers peer reviewed, and they fear that their next paper won't be reviewed positively in a positive light, because they have they have a more open mind, so they're like they're catty cornered, and in their experience and in their words. So they have to really watch what they say. So, but to catch them on, off record or whatever, those who are open to it, I think you'd have a different response, depending on who you're talking to, So, and to that is one thing. The other thing I wanted to say is that as far as the 100th monkey thing is, which I want to say thank you. I'm glad that you're doing things like this too, because I believe that shift, the shift in consciousness that's happening with everyone, it's happening more than I mean. If I allow it, I'll see it more. If I keep thinking about how everybody's not getting it, then that's what I'll see more. But if I don't even think about it and I just keep doing what I'm doing, I will see, more people whom I thought would never even come around to saying things like, what's going on. But people are just turning around and they're just like sick of all the nonsense. They're sick of all the lies. They're not taking to all the BS that's being displayed on mass media anymore. People who you wouldn't even think to have gifts or spirituality or anything are saying spiritual things. They're experiencing gifts and stuff like that. And and it turns out, more and more. And people who I would never in a million years think would have any kind of experiences. Seriously, I mean, in a million years. And they're turning around and they're coming up with questions, or they're bringing up subjects on the matter, and I'm like, holy crap, are you serious? Yeah, seriously. In my head, I'm just like, damn. And I think it's really cool. If we just allow it, we see it more and more. And it's only a matter of time. Like I said, the 100 monkey thing, at a certain point, there's going to be that catalyst. And that catalyst is going to just, boom, it's going to happen. And before you know it, it's not even going to be a question anymore. It's not even going to be a question anymore. And one phrase that I heard that I tend to paraphrase from time to time is that, about 2012, what do people think about 2012? And it's not supposed to be, or it's not going to be, what's going to happen in 2012. It's what's going to be said later on when when everybody's going to be asking, when the heck did all of this begin? Well, it all started around 2012. That's where it's going to happen, and so we're living the experience today.
Yeah, we make our own experience, and I know a lot of people have a hard time with that one. But I'll give you an example of seeing things more often. So, in Japan, as a lot of people may know, in Japan, if you fall on the floor, don't expect anybody to help you. You're going to stay there to someone, you're going to stay there. And this really aggravated, and I was just like, how selfish. Now, when this happened maybe 7-8 months ago. This man was walking out of the train, and I'm in a couple cars behind, and I walk out of the train, and I see this man just collapse, boom, right on the floor. And I ran over to him, and 2 other people ran over to him too. And we're all like checking him, and this guy just starts doing CPR, and he kind of hesitated at first to put his mouth on this strange man's mouth, which I don't blame him, but he did it anyway, and he starts doing CPR, and then this other girl came, and they're both taking turns doing CPR on this person, and I was like there, because they're doing CPR, so I was just holding his hand and trying to give him energy. It was like, you're going to be all right, you're going to make it. And I was just like talking to him in English, and I was just, trying to give that energy.
Right. And
then, the paramedics came and took him. But the amazing part was that someone actually gave a damn. And, the average person just looked and walked by, but those 2 people who are heroes, I don't know their name, but they're my heroes, who not only stop to help somebody, but put their mouth on some stranger's mouth without knowing what risk. That wasn't important. The important thing is that man lives. But who is that man? I don't know that man. That didn't matter. And that was a huge lesson for me, because I just assumed that this is the way, the society is. And you can't assume, because not, a lot of people will turn and not, I don't see anything, and just walk away. But not everybody's like that. And,
that's a human thing. I was reading something on, I'm trying to remember his name now. It's a really funny name, but it was called Influence. The name of the book was called Influence, and the article in the book was about just exactly what you're saying. A person will collapse, or actually there was a fire, smoke coming from the door, and everybody on this crowded street would just walk past the door, and there's smoke billowing out of the door, and everybody's walking by as if there's no problem. One person stops, sees what's going on, goes over to the door, and all of a sudden, everybody suddenly recognized that there was a problem going on with the door.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a little biased on that as far as as far as New York. Yes, people will do that, but more than plenty of times I've seen people reach out and So, for example, during 9/11 and the blackout, I forgot when that was, 2003. It was in the summer, I remember that, but I don't remember the date. Anyway, during those two times, I saw people extend their hands out beyond, way above. And, people say that New Yorkers are cold, and that's not true. I mean,
it's not. We are.
we're very... Yeah, we're hardened. But, so, for example, if you fall, someone will go pick you up. They might take your wallet, but they'll pick you up. The point is they helped you. But, yeah, I mean, that's a reality. But
it's true.
But more than people will help you. If a pregnant woman comes onto the train, people will get up. And I remember one time I was on a bus, and this guy gets on the bus, and he had like a cast on, and this woman, there's two people in the front of the bus, and the woman gets up and gives him the seat, but the man who was sitting next to him didn't get up. Do you know that all the men there started harassing him, telling him, "You're not a man," and he had to get off the bus. They was like, "You're not a man. You see a woman gets up for him, and what kind of man are you?" So he had to get off the bus. But
it's true. That's true. That does happen. That does happen in New York. Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's happened 2 times to me here in Japan. It's like I didn't get it the first time, and the second time, this man was walking with his big bag, and he's moving the bag, and he hits this woman in the leg with his big bag and sweeps her leg right from under her. And she falls face first, does a face plant. Whoa. You see the tooth go right flying out, and he just looked back and kept walking. I got so pissed off. So me and this guy run over to her, pick her up. We pick up her tooth, sit her down. The guy goes over and buys her water. And the thing in Japan here is that, no matter, you can have a broken arm. You ask them, "Are you okay?" They will always tell you, "Yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine." They're too proud. They'll never tell you, "No, I need help." So anyway, so you just help them regardless, because they're always going to say they're okay. So we pick her up, we sit her down, and he buys her water. And I was just so amazed that this stranger picks her up and buys her water with his own money, never asking her for anything. And then once the paramedics came, gave the paramedics the tooth and everything, and told her, "You're gonna be okay."
Yeah.
So there you go. You have both sides. You got the guy who caused the accident, doesn't give a damn, looks back like, "Oh, not my problem," and then just keeps walking. And then the guy who goes over and So
I have one experience like that. I was working over on 30th and 8th, and it was probably the worst job you could ever have. We're talking
in New York.
Yeah, in New York, 30th and 8th, down in
the fabric
center.
Yeah.
Yep, in the garment district, and so it's a sweatshop building, and they got junkies in there and everything like that, and and immigrants and all kinds of stuff. I mean, these people, the women would they would have their period or whatever, and they could not flush bloody toilet paper down the toilet, so it would leave it all over the place, and they wouldn't think of putting it in the freaking trash bins. We're talking about seeing people have their works. The heroin addicts would have their works out in the stairwells. We had to clean all that. We had feces and fecal matter all over the freaking place, and in the stairwells and stuff like that, and that all had to be cleaned up. But it was we had the best people that I worked with, and because of them, it was the best damn job that I've ever had, just from these people. It made it all tolerable, and nice to work at. So in the meantime, I get out of I was going on lunch, I think it was, and I said I'm getting out of lunch and I'm going towards Fifth Avenue. Some guy, some heavyset guy, just basically collapsed, and all of a sudden he's foaming at the mouth. And I had never seen an epileptic fit before. I've heard of it, but I had never seen it. I've never witnessed it before. And this guy was going into convulsions, and I didn't know what to do. Right there's the priest. I can't remember I think it's the 8th Street precinct. Anyway, the 8th Avenue precinct, and so I ran across the street because I didn't know what to do. I'm not EMS. I'm not EMT. So I went over there and I told them what was going on. Nobody came running out. They just came strolling out, came over to take care of the guy, and I stayed there, while they tried to take care of him. They called the ambulance and everything like that. And so before, nobody else was helping this dude, mind you, at that whole time, I just figured I'd do the right thing. And so I stood with him, and the next thing I know, his boss, the guy who's working for, was looking for him, had come out and said, "Oh my God, is he going to be okay?" and everything. He works for me, and da-da-da-da, and and he thanked me and everything like that. And dude, that made such an impression on me, just to be able to know that this guy's going to be okay, because people die from that stuff, man. I mean, if he wasn't treated right, he wasn't the whole 9 yards and everything, and I was like, holy crap, that was awesome. That was just awesome, and everybody just got him together and got him taken care of and whatnot, and I just thought that was really cool.
Well, here's the thing about going beyond to help somebody, and of course, there's people, you gotta be careful. There's people out there who'll take advantage of you, but when you like, for example, when you get up and give your seat up for somebody, that makes you feel good. That makes that person feel good, and the people around there are like, oh, look how nice. That makes them feel good. You just did something that became contagious, and that it's a good feeling. We focus too much on the negative parts of but when you do something that small, that minuscule, you just made that person's day better. Not only theirs, but you made yours and everybody else's day around that witnessed that better. And then those people go and smile, oh wow, what a nice guy, and then they're having a better day, and they're treating the other people around them better, because they just witnessed something. So you see how that one little act that you might think is not important, just spread it out, like a wave. Because everything we do, everything we say goes out. This is going out in the airwaves and the internet. It goes out. So, and everything you think the same way. So watch what you think and do things with purpose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dude. So anyway, where can we get, first of all, where's your website? Tell everybody where your website is and where they can get your book.
Well, the website is www.thehundredth 100thmonkeyradio.com, and that's at TH at the end of 100. So the 100thmonkeyradio.com. And just think really hard and manifest the book right in front of your living room. No, you can go. You can go to Amazon and then just put in either my name or the 100th Monkey. Scratching the Cosmic Conscious, and you can find the book there. I have it available on Kindle and paperback, so you can find it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we do show once a week, like yourself, and yeah.
You have anybody coming up soon? What do you have coming up soon?
Let's see. We have actually a really good guest that you should probably have on yourself, Robert Farrell, and he also wrote a science fiction, but his is based more on UFOs, and he took like a lot of the real data, and the purpose of his book is more like, this is the kind of book that someone who is really not into this at all, is just starting, or even doesn't care. Your guards are down when you're reading a science fiction.
Right.
So his point is to open people up through this. You know.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
that's
it's
awesome.
Yeah. And we had George Cavassalis on the last week.
Oh,
so
I got to listen to that. Well, how long ago was that? Because he's got a new book out himself.
Oh, yeah. I'm just starting to read that book. We had him on Sunday, so you can still listen to the archives or YouTube. Awesome. Yeah, I'm also on Facebook, so if you want to catch me there, just put in Scratching the Cosmic Conscious, and you can find it there.
Gotcha. Very good. And look, I got to have you on again because we just connect too much. And but next
time you gotta have some plantains for me. You know, being Puerto Rican.
Absolutely. Amarillos, not just plantains. They gotta be amarillos, bro. That's the only way.
Maduros.
Serve you the sweet stuff. Okay, not a problem. It's roco pollo, you know, no problem.
Oh,
okay?
man, now you got my mouth watering. So that's one thing I miss about New York is going out to the cuchi frito spots at this time. It's almost lunchtime with $5 and just you know, getting full.
Chowing down. Oh yeah, the pernil is going good.
Listen, if you're ever in New York, you have to go to Sofritos. It's a Puerto Rican restaurant. Their pernil
on 47th?
51st.
On 51st, okay.
I think
right off Avenue of the Americas.
No, First Avenue.
Okay, down there.
It's been there for like 3 years. Just put in Sofritos on Google. Sorry, we went off on a whole different subject. But
I know.
If you want some traditional Puerto Rican food, that spot is the one.
Hey man, I cook the stuff. You know what I mean? I got all the recipes from my mom. I'm freaking bachelored out, so you know I got the sofrito in my freaking fridge right now.
So I'm gonna see if I can talk to Picard so you can teleport me some of that food over here.
No problem, man. No problem. We'll get it going. So, Ramone, man, it's been awesome. It's been great, man. Got to have you on. The next time we got to really start getting into I'd like to get into the UFO stuff because I know the East City Ranch is off the hook, and your experiences would definitely make a great show. So, with that, I want to say thank you, Ramone. It's been awesome.
No, thank you for the opportunity. Definitely going to be
checking out your shows. And you're also on YouTube, is that correct?
Yeah, the YouTube channel, if you go to, it's my partner's YouTube, I always, it's Tao, TAO2299, and that's his channel, and we have all the archive of our show there.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you've been listening to Spiritual Warrior Today with your host, that'd be me, Dan Lopez, and Ramone Almonte from the 100th Monkey Radio Show. And I want to thank you all for coming by. It's been awesome. And Ramone, thank you again, man. We got to definitely do this again. And,
thank you, man. I had lots of fun.
Cool. Take care, everyone, and have a good night, man.
Good night.